Hello, welcome. My name is Michael. And today's topic is attention. It's based on the first slogan I ever came up with for my products. Mugs, t-shirts, tote bags. My first slogan was pay attention. And not coincidentally, attention is also in the name of my store. I named my store Attention Bazaar, and it's very intentional that I did that because I think it's so crucial, so important. It's the beginning of anything that we might pursue. It's the first step. Without it, we can't know or do anything. We have to first give it our attention. The definition of mindfulness puts us in the ballpark, but I have some additional things to add to what you might ordinarily hear about mindfulness. The definition of mindfulness is to be aware of what arises in the present moment without judgment. Simple enough, right? Maybe you've heard that. Maybe you've attempted a mindfulness practice or a meditation. Whatever arises in the present moment, we should notice it. So what, we might ask, arises in the present moment? What arises? The fact is, an infinite number of things arise in the present moment. Our senses and our brains are not even made to notice everything that arises in the present moment. And of the things that our senses and our brain can notice, there's only a small number of those that we actually do notice. And those things tend to be things that pose a danger or a threat, things that might meet a need that we have or desire, and anything else, really, generally speaking, we ignore. We don't notice. Or if we do, we don't sustain our attention on it. It's fleeting. This was very useful in our evolution. By the way, the Buddhists call this passion, aggression, and ignorance. You know, the three poisons is what Buddhists think of this. Passion is the attention and energy we give to things that we desire. Aggression is the feeling we have when something is threatening. And ignorance is whatever else that might be there that we can't either get something out of or have to avoid because it's dangerous or go to battle with. This was useful for our early ancestors who were dealing with survival needs in an environment that was often dangerous and may have been a little more scant in terms of food sometimes. We've come a long way since then, and our survival is not the same kind of challenge that it used to be, at least not for all of us. There are many in the world still who suffer hunger, who are in dangerous places, and so it's true. I can't speak for the whole world, but I can fairly safely guess that if you're watching this video, you probably don't have a bear outside your cave, and you're probably not in jeopardy of starving. So we can give our attention to other things now. If we would, we could give our attention to the future, to our own individual future, the future of our family, or our collective future as humanity, or at least as our nation, if we want to restrict it that way. An example of how, immediate things grabbed our attention in the past to meet immediate survival needs, one being sugar or sweet things, that when food was more scarce and we had the opportunity to eat something that would put fat on our bodies, we did just that. And we ate as much of it as we could while it lasted, so that we would have some store for next week, even when food might not be around. So we still have that instinct to behave that way, to seek out, give our attention to, so to speak, sweet things and eat them and gain that weight. But the future, our future, is different. Our future is going to continue to be abundant with sugar. And so we have an obesity problem. It's just one example of how we might want to reconsider what we give our attention to. That's on an individual level. On a collective level, let's consider global warming or ecological crises, where our consumption, where our activities on the planet are able to cause a change in the temperature of the earth, have an impact on global environment. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, but we can think about it, and we can listen to those who think a lot about it and recognize that our future could be in jeopardy if we don't pay attention to different things today. So, noticing what arises in the present moment without judgment. First of all, there's a hell of a lot arising in the present moment that we don't even consider paying attention to, that we could. And I don't know about not having judgment. I think when it comes to our emotional state, and there's a good reason to say without judgment for a good amount of what arises in our consciousness. We make premature judgments. We make inaccurate judgments. We make judgments that don't pan out to be very useful. But I think we do need to make judgments about what arises in our awareness, and not think everything is the same value. So if we're going to have control over our attention, we need to know what's important for ourselves. What matters? What really matters? We might have to think about this and not just trust our evolutionary equipment to decide for us through our instincts and our impulses. We need to actually think about it so that we can intentionally put our attention where we need to, where we want to. Is we can be distracted. In the best of situations, we're all distractible. We'll take our eye off the ball, so to speak. One of the things, a major thing that we're distracted by, is entertainment. It's desirable because it feels good and it takes our attention, away from perhaps what's causing pain or causing ill feelings, maybe anxiety or depression, loneliness. Entertainment can provide relief from that. And that may be a good thing when it's really a bit too much. But if it becomes habitual and we go to it all the time and neglect other things that may matter more than our entertainment, there will be a cost to pay down the road. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but eventually. All of the time that we spent entertaining ourselves that could have been spent envisioning and working our way toward a future that we desire will have been lost. The other reason why it's good to be clear and intentional about where we put our attention is that aside from distractions that we seek out, there will be others who will vie for our attention for their own purposes. And if we don't think hard enough about what really matters to us, we'll be vulnerable to that. Right now, I'm making a video. I'm vying for your attention. Let's just be clear. That's what I'm doing. I believe I have a good intention. I believe that I want to offer something of value to you. In exchange, maybe you'll visit my store. Maybe you'll buy a product. That would be nice. You don't have to. But I just want to be honest. Right now, the very act of me talking, I'm trying to keep your attention so that I can provide some benefit, so that you can benefit me. Let's just be honest, right? Not everybody will be that honest. So know what matters to you and give your attention to that, is what I'm suggesting. Don't be swallowed up by entertainment, and don't be vulnerable to those who will get your attention and possibly make promises that they can't keep in order to get something that they want. I think that's what I want to say today. I think that's about it. Pay attention. Not in a hyper-vigilant way, but in an alert way that's relaxed and that's free-floating, where you're, able to notice things you might not have even thought of. But when you do know what is important and it's time to give your attention to it, focus. Do what you can to keep your mind tethered to that thing. I'm going to be making another video. I think I'll call it Pay Attention Part B, in which I will talk about 4 main areas of reality, of our lives, that we can give our attention to. And that if we neglect one or more of these areas and we don't give it any attention, things tend to go wrong. We tend to hit problems. So it's good to have some map of the general area of where our attention can go. All right. Thank you for your attention. I hope that you've gotten something of value in this, and that you'll come back and see if there's more that I can offer. Okay, thanks. Toodaloo.